Hello! So, this will be the answers video to my Q&A that I announced a while back. And I announced it on both Facebook and YouTube. So I'll answer the Facebook questions first. I have them all compiled here on my computer. Alrighty, so from Facebook, Cami Caskets asks, what's your favorite horror movie? I really like old horror movies, like from 1930s, and Nosferatu is a big one. Modern, or kind of modern, horror movies. I do like the 80s teen slasher type things, you know, like Nightmare on Elm Street, Jason, Halloween, those types of things. I should watch more horror movies, really, so I'm working on it. And then we have Alan, who wants to know, why do round tires roll better than square ones? Presumably it has to do with resistance, but I'm not sure. Victor asks, if you could teleport anywhere, where would you go? Anywhere in space and time? If it were anywhere in space and time, I would be curious to see, like, say, 200 years from now, what the world actually looks like. Did we survive this whole thing? But if it's only in space, I don't know. Maybe hop around and meet all my YouTube friends. And also, he said that current teleportation theory requires the original scanned you to be destroyed, so the identical manufactured you remains an individual. How would you like the original scanned you to be destroyed? Quickly? Nephilim asks, what's the funniest inaccurate assumption you've heard someone make about Norway? I've heard a few, but I think the funniest one was when I was at school in the US, and some of the kids, they were talking to me, and upon realizing I was not an American, they started asking me about my home country, Norway. And I told them stuff like, well, we have pretty much anything you have, only like minor differences, maybe odds and ends. And I would tell them that the house I grew up in is made of wood, like timber. And for some reason, they took this to mean that I lived in a David Crockett-esque little cabin in the woods, and they would start asking stuff like, well, do you have cars? Do you have roads? Do people go to school? That sort of thing. And I was just sitting here like, yeah. So that's probably the funniest and most inaccurate I can think of. Of course, you have the standard ones like, do you have polar bears roaming in the streets? And I'll talk about that in a later video. And then we have the questions from YouTube. Let's see. If I mispronounce your usernames, I'm sorry. Let's see. PS3Nerd92. Do you or have you ever had any piercings? I've had piercings. Let's see if I can show you. In my earlobes, I had two holes, one at the bottom and one a bit further up. The one at the bottom, I started to stretch, and I want to redo them. And when I was younger, I had a piercing in my center, well, the center of my lower lip, the labret, something or other piercing, and I had a ring on my right side. I don't know if you can tell, but I still have the scars from both of them. So if you're like up close, you can actually see the holes in my face. And this person asked several questions. So next one was, any tattoos? 1. This one. It's pretty. And then he wanted to know, or he or she, I don't know, how old are you? I turned 30 in October, so I'm working on 31. And what do you do for a living? Right now I'm between gigs, as I like to say. But when I'm not between gigs, I guess the best all-encompassing term is secretary, but slightly depending on where I work at, like what type of company, it can mean different things. So I've been a secretary for a research company. It's called the administration coordinator or something. And basically I take care of a bunch of people who do research for a living, and I make sure they're on time for their meetings. I make sure meetings go smoothly. I help them out with paying the company bills and whatever, because in that company you have to do it yourself. That kind of thing, like help them out and make their jobs easier. And my last job was as a sales assistant, so kind of sort of the same type of job, but slightly different setting. So I would help the salespeople complete their sales. I would help them with stuff they wondered about with the software and like all kinds of stuff. So that's all the questions from PS3 Nerd 92. And then we have Repent, who asked 6 questions. So the first of that one, that little chunk. Sorry. What is the population of the town you live in? I actually had to look this one up because the town I live in is a part of the greater area I live in. So when I looked it up, it said that in the actual town there's just shy of 13,000 people, which isn't a whole lot. But since it's a part of the greater area around Oslo, it has population, like the entire area has population of about 1 million or so. I found this on Wikipedia, if you're curious. Number 2, where would you like to be in your life next year this time? Next year this time, today is the 24th, next year this time I will be 1 week away from my wedding, so I'm hoping and I'm thinking that will be completed. Beyond that though, I don't know, steady job would be nice, steady income, the ability to buy my own house would be wonderful, but as the market is, it's kind of difficult. So next year this time I want to be married, well, almost married to this guy.
Hi.
Ah. And yeah, that's probably my answer to that one. And then number 3 is linked to the previous one. What are the actions you are taking to achieve the goals in question 2? I'm planning a wedding, at least trying to. We've been engaged for a while, so most of the planning is done. I'm thinking of doing a video series on this channel for that whole thing, because our wedding is not your standard wedding by either American nor Norwegian terms at all. So I thought I would do a video series kind of and explain the various things we'll be having and why and all that sort of stuff. So basically just planning and making sure the venue is booked and all this stuff. It should be good. Then we have number 4, which is an interesting one. Have you ever worshipped Satan? I'm not religious, so no. I have, however, read the Bible. The Satanic Bible and the Christian one. Number 5, have you ever killed anyone? Not to my knowledge, no. Number 6, if you have killed anyone, did you enjoy it? Again, not to my knowledge, but I would assume not. Interesting choice of questions, thank you. And then we have Abyssal Chaos, who wants to know several things. And let's see. Sorry about that. Yes. What subject did you study? I assume you mean for uni. I started out studying art history, intending to do a bachelor's degree in art history. And after about a year of that, I was like, this isn't really for me. So I switched majors to English Lit and did that for about 3 odd years, and life happened and I didn't get to complete. So I have studied for 4 years, but I have no paper that proves it. So I do have a student loan though. Yeah, what's your favorite band? Oh wow, that really depends. I like a lot of music, so I have quite a few favorites, but I have a band that kind of comes back to me every once in a while and kind of grounds me and centers me, and I'm thinking that would be my favorite band, and that's Nine Inch Nails. Let's see, best concert you've ever been to? Also Nine Inch Nails. This is a few years ago, back in 2005, I think. Yeah, 2005, 2006, somewhere around there. Nine Inch Nails do not typically tour a lot in my part of the world compared to other parts of the world, that is. And this was, I think it was the With Teeth tour, and they finally toured in Norway and like in Oslo, and I didn't live here at the time, so I was like, okay, I have to see this, I have to go. So I did anything and everything I could, got myself the tickets, got the plane ticket, got everything ready, crashed at my brother's place and everything like that. Yeah, Nine Inch Nails was definitely like the big concert, because I'd been a fan of theirs for so long that when I finally got to see them live, it was like, awesome. So yeah. Let's see, the band slash artist you dream of seeing live. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a huge concert person. I can't really deal with all the people and being locked in a place for that long. The few bands I would see live, I have seen live. The only band I would really wish would come to Norway and tour is Bella Morte, because I just love their music. And that's probably it. Yeah. Let's see, the number 1 country you'd like to visit. I'd really love to go to the UK and travel around for a bit, and Ireland and New Zealand, for obvious Lord of the Rings reasons. But I think of all the countries, traveling around in the UK, because you can get so many different like things to do and stuff, would be on my top place for that, yes. Let's see, how many languages do you speak? I'm fluent in 2, Norwegian and English. Well, semi-fluent. I make myself understood at least. And I'm supposed to know French, but I really don't. I can read French like off a page and pronounce it alright enough, apparently, but I can't really construct my own sentences, and I can't really speak French. Beyond that, I can, if I'm listening to it long enough, I can pick up certain words and phrases in Dutch, because it's kind of similar to parts of Norwegian in a way. and also I can kind of, after a good while, understand a few words here and there of Icelandic, because Norwegian and Icelandic has much the same roots. So some of the stuff is kind of like inherent. Yeah. Which do you think is the most beautiful language? I don't know. I really like old languages like Norse, Old Norse, and Latin, and that sort of thing. So I either of those two, I think, Norse or Latin. Let's see. What do you like the most about YouTube? Meeting people, in a way, because I live in a small country and there's not a lot of goth things around here. I mean, there are, but again, there's kind of few goths compared to other sets or groups of people. So the community here locally is kind of close-knit, and I'm not really a part of it to that extent anyway. So meeting people with the same sort of interests, same sort of aesthetics, same tastes in movies, music, books, what have you, is really cool. And get to make new friends all over the world. I mean, what's better, right? And then the last one from Abyssal Chaos is, what's your favorite color apart from black? Probably dark purple. Like deep, deep dark purple, or very deep dark reddish burgundy. I can't really describe the color because I have it in my mind, but I can't really. Burgundy is kind of too light, or in the kind of wrong tone, and then dark blood red in my mind looks different than any blood red sample I've found online. So it's a really dark, deep, rich combination of burgundy, blood-ish, and ruby red, I guess, would be a somewhat approximation of it. Yeah. And then we have Nephilim again. Let's see. There's a bit of a little story here for the question. Traditionally, the punk scene is very outspoken on social problems and topics, while goth has been generally more introspective and passive-aggressive in its approach to such matters. Then the question, do you think goth culture would benefit from being more outspoken in a similar way, or that this would do more harm than good? Okay, so I kind of stumbled into goth backwards through punk and metal, like black metal. So I kind of had the punk sensibilities when I got into this stuff, in a way. And I've always been kind of outspoken about things that concern me or things I'm interested in or all that jazz. So in my personal case, it's not really that different because I'm as outspoken as the die-hard punks out there, and I'm somewhat, I don't know, retrospective or introspective when it comes to certain things, but then I also voice my opinion on them. And as a culture on a whole, I don't know. I mean, it really depends on the topic, I think. It depends on the issue. And I think it also depends on where in the world you happen to be, because goths in Norway seem to have it a far easier way of life, in a way, far more accepting in this country than is in, say, the US. So I guess it would depend on where you live and also what kind of issue it's about. So in some cases it would be a good thing to like voice an opinion as a group, as a culture. And in other cases it might be a bit much, maybe. I don't know. I don't think it would do more harm than good, but I don't know if it would do any more good, if you know what I mean. If it just be like maintaining the status quo or actually making a difference. So I think that's my final answer to that long-winded rant about outspokenness in the goth culture. If you live in a place where that's okay, go for it. Provided the topic is appropriate. I mean, it really, really depends on the topic. Like heavy political stances. If you happen to have a controversial political stance and you look like death incarnate, then maybe people will be kind of iffy about talking to you about it. But then, I guess, to each their own. I don't know if it would do any harm. It might not do much more good, but I don't know. I think it's up to the person, really. So that was all the questions I got. Good ones, really. So yeah, bye!